for more on what's happening in Cyprus and its impact on Europe, and a look at the U.S. economy as well, we are joined by Alan Blinder. You can see here he's the author of After the Music Stopped, The Financial Crisis, The Response, and the Work Ahead, of course, referring to the most recent financial crisis that we're still digging our way out of. He is also a professor at Princeton University, and that's where he joins us now. Sir, welcome to the show. Great to have you here. And I want to say it's quite timely because we are facing another more of a mini crisis, at least what's happening in Europe. I just want to get your take on some of the headlines we've seen cross in the last couple of hours, and perhaps it may be giving investors a little bit of hope that a deal could be done in Europe. And I just want to get your opinion on that.
Well, we certainly hope that. And there isn't any doubt that a deal could be done in Europe because of the small size of Cyprus. I mean, Cyprus is a little tiny, tiny piece of the Eurozone. The question is, will there be able to be a political agreement? The amount of money involved is very small compared to other bailout packages, but the question is, can the politics of Northern Europe and Southern Europe and Cyprus in particular mesh and form a solution?
And next question goes back to what you talked about in your book and comparing really what the U.S. did in facing its own financial crisis a few years ago and what Europe has been doing in the last several of years. Are they doing things correctly in your opinion?
I don't think so. I mean, the European strategy, look, it's held together so far, but it's been a strategy of doing just enough to get to the next week or just enough to get to the next month or just enough to get over the current crisis and never really going whole hog the way we more or less did in the United States. I don't think we did it perfectly, of course not. But never committing the kind of large sums of money that would really get this crisis over. And by the way, in addition to that, being so enthusiastic about fiscal austerity in Europe, even in countries where it's not so necessary, making the government a drag on the economy and making there not be really much recovery in Europe.
Austerity is still a very dirty word far from where you are here in Washington, D.C. Congress, they've worked on some plans, but many people say it's simply not good enough. And then you have the Fed. We had the Fed statement earlier in the week talking about when or if ever they might exit QE3. Do you think the U.S., if we had to do it over again, would we still do the exact same thing again, especially when I'm referring to the quantitative easing?
Well, I'm sure it wouldn't be exact. As you do unprecedented things, you learn about things that you didn't know before. But I think on the Federal Reserve side, which is where your question is now, as opposed to on the political side, I think the Fed would do pretty close to what they did since Lehman failed. The Lehman failure was a huge mistake, which the Fed shared with the Treasury. After that, the Fed has been quite sure-footed, quite bold, quite innovative, and has really been very helpful in getting first the financial system and then the whole economy back on its feet. I don't think they have very many regrets about what they've done since September 15th, 2008. I think they have many regrets about before that.
Professor, if you were in Congress today, what would you want to see changed?
The first thing, many things, but the first thing I would want to see changed is stop trying to imitate Europe with a fiscal austerity fetish. We in the United States don't have any trouble borrowing from abroad or domestically at very low interest rates. Our fiscal deficit, fortunately, is tracking down. It's still too high, for sure. It needs to go down. We have, by hook or by crook, mostly the latter, as somebody once said, actually put together the grand bargain that was talked about in the summer of 2011. You remember when Speaker Boehner and President Obama went loggerheads, they were trying to strike a deal for $4 trillion of deficit reduction. We've done that.